Hello, and thank you for tuning in to COS Michigan News Live, a podcast for self-governing, freedom-loving people. I am your host, Robin Riddell. One of America's favorite days is right around the corner, April 15th, and your federal tax filing is due. In fact, the state as well. Do you know how your tax dollars are spent? How do you feel about the runaway federal debt and the interest on the debt? Who's going to fix this? We can't keep kicking this can down the road. We've got the solution in an Article 5 convention. Let's talk about it. I'm pleased to introduce my co-host, State Director Sarah Santana, with our national news today. Hi, Sarah.
Hey.
Hey.
Well, we got lots of things going on nationally. Let's bring up those slides and take a look.
Oh, wrong slides.
Tax day.
Let's try this one.
There we go. All right. So we've had a lot of different legislative activity in the last month. Ohio, well, these are hearings and floor debates. So in some cases, we had people testifying. In other cases, the difference kind of is whether we have people testifying or whether basically telling the legislature whether or not they should pass this legislation, or the floor debate where the legislators themselves are debating whether or not they should pass this legislation. So Ohio went on March 11th, and we had Idaho on March 12th, Hawaii on March 20th, and New Hampshire on March 26th, as well as Texas. Now, you've probably noticed that Texas is already a past state. So why do we have Texas? We have Texas because Texas has a clause in it, which means that it will expire after a certain number of years. So they're actually going in and trying to remove that clause so that it will never expire. So that's kind of why we have Texas in the mix as well. But yes, Texas is a past state. No worries there. All right, so we had some legislative wins. Now, these were not passed all the way states, but we like to celebrate every single time we pass through a body or a committee. So on March 18th, Kansas passed out of the House committee, and now it will move on to the House floor for a final vote. It is already passed through the Senate completely. So if it were to pass through the House floor, it would be the next past state. Now, Kansas is a unique situation. They require a supermajority vote. They're the only state, I believe, that does. So they need a lot of support. They have definitely a majority. Whether or not they will have the required supermajority, we'll find out when we get there. March 31st, Montana passed the House committee and then moved on to the floor. So very, very exciting stuff. We also had a huge victory in Indiana. Now, this is a complete victory, passed all the way. Indiana passed our 34 ready model legislation. Obviously, the idea of our model legislation is that it is a model. So they went in and they did the adjustments that would fit Indiana, but they passed it. They have some excellent commissioner selection legislation now in Indiana, and that happened on March 24th. So we are very excited to see more states join the 34 ready group. And with that, I will pass it back to Robin for our local news.
Let's put the local news up there. Some updated pictures of our hardworking team from all the events that they do. I want to talk about what we have been up to in the last month and in the look ahead. We just completed some training classes. All of our volunteers go through training, free training that's both online and to read. And so we've onboarded a few new volunteers in a couple of different areas, and that's always pretty exciting to us. I also want to let you know that we have events coming up, okay? For most areas of the state, winter's over. It's hanging on a little bit up north, but you can see that we're starting to get back out to have activities that you can come to. On April 5th, tomorrow, there is a breakfast gathering in Monroe. On Tuesday, April 8th, one of our region captains will be speaking at Central Michigan University. April 15th, there is, and this is in the evening, Ann Arbor area coffee hour. And then you will find us at the Freeland Walleye Festival. And that's a great place to stop by, get more information, sign the petition. So that's what we've got coming up. We are also working still on our 34 Ready model legislation. Sarah, you went to the Capitol building again a couple of weeks ago. How are things looking?
Well, at that moment, they were looking cold. But overall, I would say we're doing really well. We are working really hard on our legislators, both in the House and the Senate. Michigan's in an interesting situation right now, so I would encourage everyone, reach out to your legislators. I think with everything going on, it's very easy for them to get distracted away from the national issues that they can be involved in, like 34 Ready. So we do have a lot of support in both the House and the Senate. Do we have enough to get 34 Ready through? We will find out, but I am very excited to see when it gets introduced, how much support we have, and if we can get this thing done. So please reach out to your legislators. We had some great conversations, some really encouraging conversations, and we need your involvement, though. One thing, Robin, I wanted to bring up, you mentioned all the events we have coming up. Could you let people know where they can find out the details, like the addresses and things like that, on where they can attend those events?
Yes, Marilyn, would you put the crawl up across for the website? You'll find these on the exact details, all of it on our website there, conventionofstates.com/Michigan home. You can just do Michigan. And if you go to the events tab, everything that we are doing is on that events tab. It'll have the times, the exact locations for you. So again, on the events tab of our website. All right, now let's bring in our third party today. Please help me welcome Walter home. He's a legislative liaison here on the state team, and we are happy to have you join us today, Walter. And we are going to talk about this thing called taxes. I want to share something with you. On my wish list, I have always said, gee, I wish when I pay my taxes that I could fill out a little form that says, well, here, I would like my tax dollars to go here or there. If only that were true, because it's not. Let's face it. April 15th, tax deadline. You've either got your taxes done, or you're intending to get them done, or you're going to file an extension, but you can't get away from taxes. None of us can. I want to talk about where the money goes, and we're going to try to put up the debt clock. Let's see how this goes. Marilyn, want to give this a shot? I don't know if you've ever checked out the U.S. debt clock. This is a website worth bookmarking and go, because it's scary. It is scary to see how fast the money is being spent. Marilyn, do we have that? Well, I'll give her a minute. Oh, there we go. There's the full slide. We are hoping to put the debt clock up, going live, so that you can see it. There it is. You can go to usdebtclock.com, I believe, or .org. Mm-hmm. There's an app. You can put this on your phone. You see that amount. We hear it every day. We are $36 trillion in debt. I noticed that this will turn over to $37 trillion on or about July 28th. Why is that? Marilyn, you can take that off the screen now. The debt. Let me fast forward. So in putting this whole thing together and wanting to have my wish that I could determine where my money gets spent, I had to do a little research, and this was informative. I probably learned about this in 8th grade, but that was too long ago to remember. And it turns out that the spending is pretty set. We have mandatory spending, and you can see that's a pretty large area encompassed in the blue. And then we have discretionary spending, decent amount. And then there's that little green section on the interest. So what does this really mean? This is, if we take that yellow discretionary, this is where the money gets divided up. It's appropriated. And as I look through these categories, speaking entirely for me, I looked at every one of those categories and went, well, I don't really disagree with any of those. We need to spend money in those areas. So I felt a little deflated that I wasn't going to get my wish to elect for my money to go to somewhere else in the government. So you can see we have this big part on the military, education, health, housing and community. I mean, these to me are areas that most of us don't want to dispute. I do want to bring this up. This is before we launch into our discussion, because this is another area where our money gets spent. And because of the new work of the DOGE committee, we're seeing some of the waste and abuse of the federal government. So here's a report from a few days ago. $4 million of our tax dollars was spent on a museum to tell a selective story of the EPA history, and it cost $600,000 a year to operate, although 1,909 visitors came through in the last 9 months. So that's about it's $314 per person. Apparently they felt it wasn't worth it, so they're closing that down. We have all become aware of some of these odd. I've looked at this and went, well, where did this fit in? How does this help us? I want to stop right here because this is where we're going to jump in. The debt growth rate. I want you to absorb this for a minute. The U.S. debt is growing at the rate of $74,401 per second. I look at that and I know people who don't make $74,000 a year. In fact, the U.S. average median income is just over $78,000. So it takes some people a year to earn this money, but we're burning through it in a matter of a second. This, to me, is scary and unsustainable. Sarah, I know you have thoughts about the debt, and I'll bet you Walter does too. Both of you have children who are growing up and they are inheriting this mess. Sarah.
I just pulled out my calculator. That means that since we started this live stream, we have gone $62 million more in debt. That is insane. Like, what's going on in our country? This is when I think about taxes, you think you're paying money into the government so that they can use it for the things that the government needs to do to keep us safe, to make sure that our country functions well, all of these things. You're not thinking that they're going to be spending so much above and beyond that $62 million beyond our taxes that we're about to settle up with have already been spent since while we've been doing it. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. We have to fix this problem. Convention of States is the way.
Walter, what about you? What are your thoughts on this interest of the debt?
Well, Well, obviously, to everybody, it's out of control. You can see the rates on the clock alone. You can just kind of watch it, and it's beyond mind-boggling. But in terms of the spending, hey, listen, we had that pie chart up there. When we run out of money and then there's no one else to fund it, things will all immediately become unnecessary. And whether it's necessary or not, it will become very unnecessary. And that's not the kind of pain we want to experience. And the only way to really kind of reel this in, make sure we do balanced budgets and keep Congress under control, because they're spending. They don't care where the limits are. Keep pushing limits up. They don't really hit a ceiling, and our credit and everything suffer for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to put this sign, or Marilyn, can you put this presentation back in the screen? Oh, there it is. Walter, you referenced this pie chart. The percentage of our money that goes, let's see, interest payments on the national debt are 13% of federal spending. 13%.
Yeah.
It's almost $1 trillion.
Yeah. So for anyone who isn't a math whiz, that means that if you give the government $100 in taxes, 13 of those dollars are going to pay off their irresponsibility. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then some will even argue then back on that chart, there's only a few things on there that we're supposed to be paying for anyway. So, there's a lot of things. There's just a spending side, and there's, that's a tougher animal to target, because even on this call, we'll all have differences what we want to spend it on. And the only way to really do it is say, okay, well, that's fine. Let's set a limit. What's that limit? Mm-hmm. And that's something the convention states can fix.
Yeah.
It frustrates me to hear reports that Congress they're budgeting, and then they're doing extensions, and they want to raise the debt limit, and there never seems to be an effort to stop the madness. I couldn't run a business this way. I don't run my household this way. For all of us, you can't be upside down like this and have it be sustainable. So the debt for me is a huge issue. My children, my grandchildren to be will suffer for this if it is not taken care of. Just to give you another dose of big numbers, and I'm sorry, my slide got jammed up. The interest increases by $3 billion a day. It's mind-boggling. I think all of us have said that. You can't even consume it because the number is so big.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We have a volunteer on our team, and I remember several years ago when our national debt was lower, I remember him telling me he'd done the numbers and he figured it out. If you took $100 bills and you lined them up like this, the narrow way.
On edge, yeah.
You could basically make a stack of $100 bills, tip it like this across the country, and it could stretch from coast to coast with our national debt. And that was many trillions of dollars ago. Like, we must be making our way back now. That is insanity. The only way we're going to solve this problem is to stop digging. You cannot, and anyone who has been in debt knows, you cannot stop a debt problem until you stop incurring debt. And that is our major problem in our nation, is we just keep incurring debt. And we have a legislature that is not required to not incur debt at the rate they are. There's no responsibility being held. There's no one holding them accountable. And so we have to solve that problem. And that is where Convention of States comes in.
Yeah. To your point, Congress could solve this problem, but they absolutely will not. For decades, they haven't. So
yes,
right.
Yes.
And that's the frustration, and that's what brings me, and I assume there's a lot of reasons why you support Convention of States, but this is one of our pillars. on our platform is to control, to reduce this type of debt. The ways to fix it, there are all kinds of ways to fix it. Just for a moment, I'll give you, let's go forward. We've certainly seen enough of these reports. And they've been kind of, I mean, it makes us all laugh. I didn't know this was going on, but when you see it, I see all kinds of noble causes, but nothing, this is assisting foreign migrant workers in Malaysia. How does that help a US citizen? Enhanced security access and worker protections for internal migrant workers in Bangladesh. How does that help an American? This was only $577 million. So it's not a huge savings. We're seeing savings as the border crossings have come down. So now they're closing facilities. So that's going to save between $5 and $30 million a month. Again, not a huge amount, but it just makes sense. If the facility isn't being used, we ought not be in there. This one gets me. Walter, I'd love to hear your comments on this. IRS modernization started in 1990 to be delivered in 1996. Today, in 2025, the work is not complete, and contractors say it's still 5 years away. 29 years behind schedule and $15 billion over budget. I don't know about you, but if I hired a worker and they gave me a timeline for it, I doubt that I would be expanding it for decades.
Yeah. So let me give you a little perspective of what the 1990 to 96 era was like, just for people that weren't around then. That was modem access. We had dial-up then. Around 95, 96, some areas experienced cable modem at speeds that were really, really, really slow. And technology, especially programming and so forth, that was so primitive on the website. I mean, I can mention a company called Netscape, and most people on this watching this podcast would ever have heard of it. It used to be the thing. So obviously we moved on, and the technologies have changed, and maybe that's part of the problem. Every time they try to finish something, it's like, well, this is outdated. Let's start again.
Yeah.
Let's move the goalpost. When we heard that one before. So yeah, I've worked with federal government projects in Social Security and stuff like that. I can tell you the waste and the delays. And I want it now, want this now, and we deployed exactly how you tell them, and they say, well, it's all wrong, we got to start again. And that's why contracts are so expensive, because people that do that kind of work know exactly what's going to happen. And they anticipate all these mistakes. So yeah, that's where all that is tied up. They don't have clear cut begin and ends. It's just fluid the entire time, and that's a problem.
A big problem. I had not heard anything about that, but as you take us back to dial-up, I could see where I was in my life, and I can hear that little tone going through the dial-up portion of it. So I can see where the evolution of our technology has caused chaos, because we all want to be bigger, faster, and all of that, but billions of dollars spent with no clear-cut outcome, no end date.
Technology is definitely moving faster than their projects, it sounds. And they still need to have begin and ends, and they need to have projects end much quicker and have clear defined endpoints. And hey, maybe that's something Doja's doing. I don't know. Because I do know they're modernizing some systems to be able to talk to each other, and that's good. I don't know what that means, though. Are they just putting patches in? Are they to make things work? Are they, saying, hey, throw all this stuff out, use stuff off the shelf? Maybe they're doing that. I just don't know. But when it comes to the federal government, they also have a lot of requirements with JITIC and other requirements that are FIPS requirements that require only used in certain types of encryption. The operating system has to be set up a certain way, and that's for security reasons. Maybe cloud options are going to change a lot of that, but it's a mess. The program problem is too big. A lot of it's too big, and DOGE is just kind of scalpeling out the waste right now. They're not even actually attacking the spending. So people are really upset about that. I guess some people, they shouldn't be upset about this part of it. The legislature, because nothing else can be done without it being done legislatively or through a convention of states setting limits. And then all of a sudden the congressmen are going to have to make hard choices. They have no choice.
That's a fabulous point, Walter. The spending, you're right. They're not stopping spending at all. And cleaning up the waste is great. But if you're not stopping spending, you're not really stopping it from reoccurring. You really need to have some structural changes in order to fix the fundamental problems that we're dealing with here, which again is where convention of states comes in. But this really is, when you're looking at your tax dollars and when you're going to pay your taxes, you have to consider a few things. I'm not saying don't pay your taxes. Absolutely pay your taxes, but consider, what do we need to do to fix this problem, and how can you be involved to help fix this problem in our nation? Because all my life I've been paying taxes and it's not getting better, and like Walter said, this is cleaning up the dirt under the rug is great, but it's just going to end up there again if you don't do something.
Yeah, some of the spending was found to fund all kinds of corruption too. The parties are funneling monies back to themselves, and just funding the never-ending growth of these different pieces that they want. That's a problem. That's a real big problem. But the accounting practices have to change, and I think DOGE actually kind of showed us how it can change. We have a department dedicated to all this kind of auditing. And yet DOGE stepped in and did it in seconds, it appears, compared to what they were doing. And that's shocking. And that's, so modernization, there's all kinds of things going to be discussed, right? And the standards to set. And I think after DOGE is done, there's going to be new accounting standards when we're done here. But then there's, there's all kinds of topics to discuss around the IRS too. So,
yeah.
So, for the benefit of our audience, it might be worthwhile to talk about briefly what we could do through a convention of states to fix this. I mean, we all have our own individual ideas, with the great frustration that we're waiting on Congress to fix it and they're not doing it. And we're the ones footing the bill for it. So how do you see a convention of states helping this? Want to explain that?
Yeah. So besides just the spending side, I think I would like to quote somebody, because they actually said it in a better way than I've probably ever quantified it. But everybody kind of knows Data Republican from X. She works with Elon Musk and stuff like that. And she's been doxxed and stuff like that. But anyway, her quote from her was, I've had a change of heart on the federal income tax. On the surface, it's just a way for the government to generate revenue. It has to get its funding from somewhere. But I now see that the method of taxation itself is fundamentally alters the relationship between the government and its people. So I've been a long time proponent of getting rid of the income tax primarily, mainly because, there's nothing keeping an agent from interfering with your life in one way or another. You make mistakes. We all make mistakes, and it's impossible to follow the tax code perfectly. So you can hire an accountant, do all that stuff, and get insurance, and you're probably going to need it. And they'll still drag you through it. You have to go to court and do this and do that. And it'll be in your life all the time, at least for a couple of weeks. There's a few prominent people that have had this year after year. When we're done with 1 year, they're on to the next. So I think that has to change. I'm more of a proponent of the fair tax, which is a little bit more than just getting rid of the IRS. And that it does a national sales tax, but it's a flat national sales tax, and it's only at the end of product. It also provides a means to fund, let's say, the poor level of taxes. So everybody gets what they call a prebate at the beginning of the month. That's rich, poor, no matter what. And that funds the base necessities. After that, you spend more in taxes, after that's on you. Or if you buy the wrong things. So, but the thing about the fair tax is interesting because it can be passed legislatively. And in the bill itself, it will revert itself out of the federal sales tax if an amendment is not passed in time to get rid of the income tax at the constitutional level. So you have to repeal the 16th in order to keep the fair tax, even if it passes.
Interesting.
So that's where you need a convention of states to fix that, because I don't think it could get done through Congress, but I mean, we don't see anybody. It's too locked down, so 50-50 on any topic. And they're just trying to find a way to get each other. The only way they can get this kind of stuff done is through us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, under Convention of States, for those of you who do not know, under Convention of States resolution, we can propose amendments, or not us personally, of course, but the states by their commissioners could propose amendments that would limit the size and jurisdiction of the federal government, impose fiscal restraints on the federal government, and impose term limits on federal officials and members of Congress. So anything that kind of falls under the category of limiting power federally, we could do. We can't increase power federally. We can't grant new powers federally, but we could do anything that was limiting the power federally. So for those of you who weren't aware of exactly what our topic areas are, that is what our resolution covers.
And if we have a convention, I would say this would be the debate and discussion to watch of how we fix this particular problem. For sure. Mm-hmm. All right. Hang around for a minute. I would like to invite our viewers to, wrong slide deck, remove. There we go. For what you can do. We try to bring you topics to show you that a convention of states is the solution. And we really believe that if all of us just do one thing a day, one thing a week, one thing a month, it will help advance this cause and grow our grassroots. If you belong to a civic group at your church or your community, and you would like to have a speaker, we have very good presenters from all over the states to talk about Article 5 of the Constitution and how it can benefit us here in America today. If this is something you would like to do, reach out to us at conventionofstates.com, MI request presenter, and we will contact you and follow up and find somebody who lives in or near your community to come and talk to you about this and to field questions. The second thing is, if you haven't signed the petition yet, if you would like to see improvements in government, sign the petition. When you do, a message goes to your legislators here in Michigan to let them know that you support this movement. And believe me, these communications with our legislators mean a lot. They notice when the emails come across their desk. This will put you in touch. We'll send you email updates, but pull out your QR code scanner and sign the petition. Well, let's go to last word. And so I'm going to start with, both of them are looking at me going, not me, not me. How about Sarah?
Oh my goodness. I would just say on tax day, remember that there's a lot of things that need to be fixed in our nation, and you can make a difference. And the situation with our tax and our debt, and the fact that your taxes are going towards our debt instead of to things that will actually help you today, that's a solvable problem. It isn't an easy solvable problem, but it is a simply solvable problem, and that we can just use convention of states and do it. Now, that's complicated in that it takes a lot of people working together across the nation, but guess what? There's a lot of people across the nation that care about this. And you're one of them, and we're one of them, or we're three of them, and we can get this thing done. So get involved, and we'll make this thing happen.
Thank you, Sarah. Walter, any last words?
Yeah, I'd say, I think some people maybe watching this are just curious about how they get involved, or might feel overwhelming to take on a lot of these things. Yeah, these are big topics, and keep in mind that we're just talking to get this done for our state, and things are going to happen that are beyond us. And, we know what they're going to talk about. That's about it. But if you want to get that stuff done, join us at the Lansing or any other events that we might have. Check it out. And it's actually kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Walter. I will take it from here and take us to the end. I would like to reiterate what was said. Please join us. Please get involved locally in your community. It is a matter of one action by one person a day or a week. You don't have to do it all. We've got jobs that our volunteers do, from legislative. I'm in communications. Sarah's part of leadership. We've got event coordinators. You name it. If you have a particular skill, tech skills, we need people with tech skills. We have a place for you here. So thank you for joining us. Hit the like button wherever you're watching this video. Hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We love to get your feedback. So I'll take it from here and just tell you all, thanks for joining us, and stay with the fight.
Thank you.